live stream. I'm going to give a few minutes for folks to get in and get going. And we will go to Parker's Crossroads here in just about 4 or 5 minutes. If you're in here, go ahead and say hello. Let me know that you can hear me so I know everything's going as it should be. And we'll get going here in just a couple minutes. Hey, guten Abend. It's midnight. Joking Joker, hello. Awesome. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Give a few more folks a chance to get in. Shouldn't go as late tonight. Just 2 battles, Parker's Crossroads and Stones River. Going to be up against a big army at Stones River. Hey, Taylor. How's it going? Robert Roberts. Hey, we're doing we're continuing with my regular Saturday night here in the east coast of the U.S. anyway. Saturday night, playing through the Union campaign on Ultimate General Civil War. I am going to go ahead and do some Kaiserreich, which is the post World War I alternate, where the Germans and the Austrians won World War I. I'm going to start streaming that probably tomorrow night around 5 o'clock, I would guess, but that may be up in the air as far as the time goes. Just be watching for that. Joking Joker, that's what I'm talking about. Hearts of Iron 4. I'm going to do that on Sunday tomorrow. We'll see about the time. But I'm shooting for about 5 p.m. Eastern time. Make it a little earlier for the folks in Europe. But we'll see. It's going to kind of depend on some other factors. I may also do some live streaming in the afternoon during the week, like maybe Wednesday. In which case it would probably be evening in Europe when I do that. But I'll do a channel update to let you know if I'm planning a midweek live stream, so you have a day or two to plan for that. We're going to go ahead and get started here with Parker's Crossroads. This one I'm going to have a pretty significant advantage in numbers on him. I should outnumber him about 2-1. Stones River is going to be a different story. He's going to probably be pushing 80 to 90,000 in that one. Joking Joker, anything good? What you watching? You going to see Avengers? That's what everybody seems to be seeing this weekend. Awesome, Robert. I haven't read the World War I era ones yet. I don't know if that's still in the same timeline as the one that starts with Guns of the South, or if that's something different. But Harry Turtledove's got some great alternative history stuff. All right, so we're outnumbering him here 2-1. This one's going to be a good kind of warm up to the big one at Stones River. So I typically have kind of a weird strategy on this one. Basically, it involves, looks like I didn't put enough men into these 24-pounders. They're not maxed out at 300 men. What I do here is pull back into these woods until I get the rest of my forces, the reinforcements. So I'm going to pause here for just a second. Hey, Joking Joker, have fun. Catch you later. So I'm going to break off skirmishers off of every one of these units. I have all 2-star units in this battle coming up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to send some of these skirmishers out on the edges and then kind of intermingle them with full brigades, and then just do that all the way around. Same thing over here, because I don't remember. I think he kind of comes at you from all sides to start on this one. And then my reinforcements actually come from up here in the northeast corner of the map. So I'm basically just going to sit back and hold my position until those reinforcements come. Although, I've got a pretty significant advantage right now. It may be that I don't need to do that. But I'd prefer to fight in these woods and let him have the open area and let it be ground of my choosing. So if you're in here in the room and you haven't already, go ahead and say hello just to let me know you're here. And as always, if you are new to this, there's really anything we can talk about. It doesn't have to be anything even to do with this game. Thomas, I have not done one on Major General difficulty. I played the first few battles on Legendary, which is kind of the step up from Major General. But once I'm done with my Legendary campaign on the Confederates, which I'm almost done with, I've only got 2 battles left, I will be starting a Legendary campaign with the Union. I figured rather than going through Major General and then coming back and doing Legendary, I would just skip right to Legendary. Yeah, I thought Harry Turtledove had some different timelines in his alternate series. I know that some don't necessarily have anything to do with the other. That's why I wasn't sure which one you were referring to. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about that. And Kaiserreich's pretty cool playing that because a lot happens in the United States during that. When I started playing through the other day just to kind of get my feet wet with it. And the U.S. ended up in a civil war with 4 different factions. They had the Pacific states out on the west. It was like California, Oregon, and Washington. You had the former Confederate states forming one. You had kind of the middle part of the country remained as the United States. And then kind of the former Union states from the Civil War formed a 4th faction. And I think where I'm at now, there's there's 3 countries. I think there's New England is its own country. The Pacific states are still one, and then the other 2 kind of merged after a Civil War. But it's very interesting. What I'm playing as, I'm going to be Austria, and I'm going to try to reform the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which doesn't exist in the Kaiserreich mod in 1936. But most of the former Austro-Hungarian pieces are all puppets of Austria. But Austria itself is actually very small and in a very difficult place economically. So I'm kind of interested to see how that all works out. So I'm going to kind of fast forward this for now, just until we get into the action a little more. Hey, Dual Taylor, how's it going? Good to see you. I don't know what the weather's like for everyone else, wherever you are, but it was beautiful here in Ohio yesterday, and now it's cold and snowing today. Yeah, we're at the end of April, and we're getting snow still, but I think it's supposed to warm up tomorrow. I coached my son's soccer team, and it was pretty cold and windy on Wednesday night when we were playing. Nah, they're not going to flank us. I'm good. So I don't know exactly when my reinforcements come, but they'll come down here from the northeast before too long. I've still got him by about 3,000 men. Here's his infantry starting to show up a little bit now. Most of tonight's live stream is going to be focused on the Battle of Stones River, where it's going to be interesting because he's going to have, I mentioned this at the top of the broadcast, he's going to have a pretty significant force. When I went in and looked at it, it was about 86,000 as it stands, and as I build my army more, I would anticipate that he's going to scale up even more. Robert, yeah, I only played through it for about a year and a half yesterday, just trying to kind of get a sense of how it was going to go. And most of my time was spent just trying to get me economically back on my feet, because you get hit with the effects of the Great Depression right off the bat as Austria. I don't know if all countries get hit with that. Oh, don't run away. At least he's firing at them and not at my 20-pounders. Yeah, Kaiserreich is really, really cool, and there's so much replayability there because the countries are so different. Most of the governments of the various countries are completely different. You've got Canada being ruled by King George the Fifth, and then Edward the Eighth after that. The British are actually communist, I believe, in 1936 in that one. The Italian, Italy's broken up into a couple of different countries. The Soviet Union, Russia's actually not Soviet. It's not communist at the beginning, but at least in my early playthrough, the Soviet Union did start a civil war, which they lost. And then Russia, once it defeated the Soviets, turned and conquered Finland. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Welcome, glad you're here. Waiting on these reinforcements. They should come before long, and then I'll march out, take this objective, and should be pretty well home free after that. I'm going to go ahead and bring these skirmishers up. If there's nothing up here, I can get on these guys' flank. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? I was just mentioning, we've been talking a little bit about going to start doing some live stream every so often on Kaiserreich, which is an alternate World War II mod in which it's a world in which the Central Powers won the First World War. It's a lot of fun to play. I'm going to play as Austria. I'm going to go up and take out these guns. I'll bring scales up, take these guys out. Pete, why do you think it's a bad idea for you to show your real name? Or James? Alright, here come those reinforcements. There we go. Alright, we're going to start marching out now. So far, the casualties, looks like I've lost not quite 300 men. He's lost about 1,000. And we'll just kind of squeeze in on them on either side. You never know, I never meet them, and they never meet me, so yeah. Gotcha. Alright, we're going to reattach these skirmishers. We're going to bring Whiting up. We're going to occupy these fortifications. It's almost like two separate battles I'm fighting here. We're going to bring these supplies up so they don't get left out in the open. I'm going to leave these skirmishers and I'm going to pull these guys out. So we'll talk a little bit about the historical Battle of Stones River once we get into that one, which is Got an hour left on this one first. But Stones River is an interesting battle. And it's one that not a lot of people know a lot about. All right, I think we're safe to pull back here. I'll leave these skirmishers out just to cover this side. All right, so it looks like he's got a bunch of guys lined up in here. Let's pull these guns up just to be safe. I'm going to bring these skirmishers over here. I may have to push up with Whiting just to give some support here. Actually, we can probably just send Keys up to do that. These guys can all hang tight right here. Oh boy. Okay. We got to get these skirmishers up here on that side. Pull scales back a little bit. Turn them. And we'll send Keys up. We'll get these guys on three sides. Let's look at the numbers. 45 minutes to go. He's lost 2,000 men. I've lost 700. Hey, we'll take that. These are all 2-star units for me. So they're some of my more elite forces. And they're all pretty well equipped. So, all other things being even, of course, I'm also outnumbering him 2-1. But even if we were just completely even, I'd still be doing pretty well just because he's mostly 1-star and probably not very well equipped. Alright, I think we can speed this one up a little bit. How did they secure Parker's Crossroads? Oh, look at this. That drives me nuts. He just rode some cavalry in there, and they're going to probably grab my supplies because of it. Oh, that's annoying. There, now he's routed. And bye-bye. He just rode right through my lines. He should have done that right at the end when the timer was about to tick down. The next Empire Total War Civil War campaign. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying that. It will be Monday. I'm going to try to do every other day with that one. The weekend gets a little tricky for me just because I have a lot of other responsibilities, and we spent most of, today our family spent most of the day over at our old house just trying to get some stuff done. We have the last of our things being moved. We're finally going to get our kids' beds and our washer and dryer moved on Monday. So I didn't have time to do any extra videos, but it should be every other day for the most part with that series. Really wish I know the cavalry. I really wish that they would have that same type of mod, Empire, come out for the Napoleon game, because Napoleon's such a better game, I think. And once May comes around, and the new Total War game, Thrones of Britannia comes out. I'm definitely going to be playing some of that. I'm pretty excited about that one. Hey, Dutch, how's it going? Good to see you. Just about done with Parker's Crossroads. I'll probably push this one a little bit longer if I can. He's down to about 6,200 men. I outnumber him 3-1 now. Anything I can do to hopefully drive down his numbers a little bit before Stones River. Some of these units are going to disappear here in a minute. Oh, running low on ammo up here. I think we'll put the next point into logistics to help with the ammo a little bit before a big battle. Hey, Bendowski, how's it going? Good to see you. Hopefully you can hear me okay on Twitch. I know it's working all right. on YouTube. Just want to make sure that the same is true for Twitch as well. We'll go another couple minutes here to inflict some more casualties, but ammo's starting to become an issue. Maybe we can capture some men. Let's give that a try. Awesome. Very cool. See if we can maybe capture some people. Get them added to my force pool. They may just break and disappear. I don't know. Six Kentucky just charged into me. He was out of ammo. He just pulled a Chamberlain. There. They surrendered. So we grabbed 257 men anyway. 20 of Tennessee surrendered. What's left of them? There, we're starting to grab some men. All right, I think we'll call that one a day. Awesome. 1,897 casualties. Also 17 men among my artillery. But almost 6,000 casualties caused on the Confederate side under Nathan Bedford Forrest. All right. I pretty well already built up my army for Stones River, which is part of the reason why he scaled up. And he's going to have a pretty big army. But I've got enough left in my force pool that I'll be able to do some reinforcing for the second part of the battle. We're going to go logistics here. Just want to start getting some more ammo. So let's take a look real quick at the situation. His armory is only 24 to 29%, so he may have a lot of men in this battle, but they're not going to be incredibly experienced or well equipped. Yeah, that was the plan, Brian. I remember that battle from before. I went back and watched my video the last time I played it when I did the Brigadier General campaign. And, his numbers actually went down significantly. That's because my numbers went down from casualties. I knew that he was going to be all over the place. And anytime I know I'm going to be surrounded like that, I try not to go after the objective, but rather try to keep my army close instead. And it seems to have worked out pretty well there. Sometimes we make the mistake of occupying fortifications because they're there. And I would say probably at least half the time in some of these battles, the fortifications actually are not where you want to be. So I try to think outside the box on that a little bit. All right, let's take a look at what we've got available. We're down to lieutenant colonels, so that kind of stinks, but such is life. So a couple things I want to do here is, number one, make sure that all of my artillery is fully manned, and then I can only go in with 3 20-man corps. So if you have any suggestions as you're thinking ahead to what this looks like, please feel free to throw that out at me. I am not going to fully max out some of these units just because I know he's going to scale up. So I want to be cautious of that where possible. I may put in more than that, but I'm going to check and see what his numbers look like once I start loading mine up a little bit. One thing I definitely want to do is make sure that I've got a full complement of supply in all 3 corps, and I do, so that's good. So we're going to start dropping these guys over now. Oh, advertisement time. Hey, Joker. So what are you watching on TV? Anything good? All right, let's definitely get some artillery going. And also, I want to have my cavalry in that first corps. Because I want to be able to ride around his lines a little bit. So let me find where on my cavalry. There's my Dark Knights, my 2-star unit. Alright, so I've got 21 brigades. I'm actually already over the max there. Okay. Yep, we're going to have to go veterans here. Get them up to 2,000 at least. Hey, Nutzer, how's it going? Good to see you. So 20 brigades in the first corps. We've got 23 in the second corps, so I've got to drop that out too. I want to get more cavalry. Oh, I've got 3 cavalry already. That should be a good place to start, I think. We're actually going to drop these skirmishers out of the 2nd Corps. How much artillery do I have in the 1st Corps? Not enough. I'm going to get some more artillery into that 1st Corps. Some Napoleons. Doomsday, Day of Vengeance. Awesome, very cool. If you withdraw your right flank, yeah, you know what? My plan was at least to pull back to link up with the center. If you think of it like the Nashville Turnpike being the left for the Union, and then the starting part being the right, I'm going to pull them back to at least link up with that other. You'll see in just a minute. But yeah, I'm definitely going to pull back. I'm not going to let him overrun my right flank like what happened historically during that battle. Let me just check on my... Okay, I've got 19 brigades there. I've got 20 here. Okay, so let's do this. We can form a couple more infantry brigades. They're going to have to be lieutenant colonel led, unfortunately. And I want to kind of have a variety as far as my guns go. And I've got a ton of available Springfield 1855, so I want to make sure that I've got a lot of this. Wow, these guys are about to be 3 stars. After this battle, they probably will be. So let's arm some more folks with Springfield 1855s. That's going to cost 60,000. Wow. How about this? Oh, those are 1861s. Okay. Well, we'll probably stop there then. We'll just create another new unit with those. And we'll only go to 1,500 again. So that's 20, 20, and 19. So we can go one more here. What kind of artillery do I have available? Okay, so the last thing I just need to check are the numbers in my units here, and the main thing I want to check here is making sure that all of my artillery has their full complement of men, which you can't see necessarily right here. Hearts of Iron World War I and build a huge German empire. That would be a lot of fun. I might have to give that a try sometime. I tried once before playing through as Germany, and it didn't end up going real well for me, and I wasn't able to finish that series. It just got real bogged down. Like I couldn't. It became a lot like the real World War I, and that was when I had my hard drive crash and I lost all my series that I was working on at that time. All right, let's dive in. Let's see what this looks like. I'm down to lieutenant colonels on everything as far as my reserve officers. So anybody that I have to replace is going to have to be replaced with a lieutenant colonel. All right, so he's got 81,274 men. And I'm going to have 97,000. This should be interesting. I think this is the most men I've ever had at Stones River. And I've still got a lot that I could pour into it. I could have made the army bigger than that, but I'm saving the rest for my later on for my kind of reinforcements. Yeah, Brian, I do sometimes sub out higher ranked officers to train up lower ones, especially when I get to parts of the war, like where I am on my Confederate Legendary series right now. I'm actually at the place where I've got lieutenant generals leading divisions because I've got so many high ranking officers. So when I get to that place where I've got extras of certain ranks, I do try to level up some of the lower ones, if at all possible. All right, so what I was starting to talk about here is this. I'm going to pull all these guys back to right here. and kind of build my defensive line there. And if I can hold there, great. If not, that'll be okay too. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just pull them up there now. All right, Joker, take care. And that'll give me plenty of time to build my defensive line before he gets in position. I think once he overruns that first objective, it'll actually trigger the next phase, if I remember right. And I'm pull these guys back too. And my cavalry, those aren't showing up yet. Those will be reinforcements, and that's fine because I won't need my cavalry quite yet. Once I start inflicting casualties and he starts moving up, then I can kind of do a ride around and maybe catch somebody in the open back there. Hey, Gallant, how's it going? Postscriptum, a World War II first-person shooter. I'm going to have to check that out. You know, I actually, speaking of first-person shooters, I'm going to write that down, Postscriptum. I have Verdun, which is a first-person shooter, and I actually have it on both the PC and also on my Xbox One, and that's been a lot of fun to play. Frustrating as heck, too, just because it's difficult, as you would expect it to be playing in World War I. So, as you can see, I'm heavily outnumbered right now, but that is to be expected. Even though I actually have more men than him overall for this battle. I'm going to have to break off some skirmishers here to kind of help extend my line. I'm going to pull these 24-pounders back into the open so they're not up on the line. And I'm going to pull these skirmishers back to one place just until I get everybody else in position, and then I'll figure out where I want to plug them in. Because I've got time before he hits me. And I'm going to pull these 24-pounders and 20-pounders back. Just like that, reinforcements have already arrived. Actually, I'm going to send these guys down this way, because I can plug skirmishers over here on the flank. Plus, when we get to the next phase, this opens up and this won't be my left flank anymore. I may be able to move up to the edge of these woods now. Confederate commander at this battle was Braxton Bragg, not one of their better officers as far as leading an army. Rosecrans was the Union commander who did pretty well for himself in a lot of these battles. He was an army commander in the West for quite a long time. He's overshadowed by Grant and Sherman, so people don't necessarily remember that Rosecrans led the Union in a lot of these battles. So I want to go plug some of these skirmishers over here. This actually is going to be about double the size in terms of the number of forces in this battle compared to historical. The Union Army of the Cumberland had something around 44,000 men in this battle historically, but lost 13,000. So if you think about that in terms of percentages, it was a pretty bloody battle. I'm going to pull these guys back just a hair so I can get keys into the woods a little bit more. Confederates was the Army of Tennessee. They had 35,000 men, so they're more than double. And they lost almost 12,000. Brian, the thing with snipers, they can be really effective if used properly, but at least for me, the reason I don't use them is they have to be micromanaged so much. So I can see using them on smaller battles, but on a big battle like this, I just can't give that much attention to the amount of micromanaging that needs done for snipers to be effective, because you have to constantly move them and pull them in and out, and it's just more work than I really have time for. Okay, it looks like I can pull a couple of these units back, I think. Just hold them back as reserves. All right. So we're on to second phase. Bendowski, yeah, I know Colonel Kelly and a lot of other people say that about 12 guns. I was violently opposed to the 12 gun thing early on, but I've come around on it just because in the larger battles where you aren't limited as far as the you aren't limited so much in terms of the numbers of units you can have on the battlefield. I find that it's nice to have those extra units for more versatility, more flexibility. One issue is you have to have higher commanders, and so if you have more than 12 guns, then you've got to start having generals in charge of those units. But I've seen the arguments both ways. I'm not entirely convinced that it has to be 12 guns, but for the most part, I've been operating under that rule now. So I'm going to pause for just a second because I got to make sure I get everybody kind of where I want them. The armies, I think part of it was there just weren't that many. You got to remember that more often than not, if you were in the Civil War, you were not in one of those big armies. Not everybody fought in the Army of the Potomac or in the Army of the Tennessee. Most of the casualties, most of the fighting was done in units that were smaller. Most of my ancestors, for example, who fought in eastern Kentucky, were never in any of those battles. They were fighting in little skirmishes in their home, basically in their own backyards. So no, there weren't that many men because there was so much ground to be covered and there were so many different things that were happening. That there weren't that many men. I don't think it was an issue so much of attrition as it was that the units were spread all over the place. He may not come over here this far east, so I may be better off to start shifting, or this far west. I may be better off to start shifting some of these units over and just leave these skirmishers out here. All right, kind of figuring out what it is that he's up to here. All right, hold on. I was about to try and get out here on his flank, but then I can see he's got more men coming. Okay, I've got to watch this center here because there's not a lot happening at the moment. All right, he's gonna light me up a little bit over here if I don't reinforce that. I'm gonna pause for just a second here. I want to kind of assess the situation all the way around. Okay, I've got a slight advantage in numbers right now on who's on the battlefield. He's lost about 2,200 men. I've lost about 700. Okay. So far, so good, especially since I know I have an advantage in numbers in this battle. But I definitely have to get some of these guys over here to help reinforce that side. And I really shouldn't be firing on these guys that are out in the woods. I should be firing on the ones in the open. And I want to make sure I'm bringing up my Napoleons wherever those are. These are all my heavy guns back here. There's some Napoleons there. He's going to get in range of the Napoleons for canister here in a minute. I've got a lot more Napoleons, but I think they're mostly in the second corps. So I think they may be up here. Those are 10-pounders. Have I seen Hamilton? Well, it's funny you should mention that. Well, Brian. First of all, let me answer the issue with the guns. Brian, Napoleons are smooth bores. 6-pounders, the 12-pounders that you get in this game, and the Napoleons are smooth bores. Smooth bores are better for up close for firing canister. They're not rifled, which means they're not as accurate. When you get to these 10-pounders, the 24-pounders, the 20-pounders, all of those bigger guns, they're rifled. So they're much more accurate. They're heavier. They don't cause as much damage up close, but they're really good, especially for counter battery fire, attacking his artillery and taking them out early in a battle. The Napoleons are the ones you want to have close up near the front lines. Thankfully, on this game, you don't suffer for having your gun sitting right behind your infantry because there's no friendly fire that I can tell. As for Hamilton, Dual Taylor, my daughter is really into theater and could sing every word to every song in Hamilton. And it's going to be coming to Cleveland in August, and we managed to get our tickets before they sold out 6 hours after they went on sale. So I'll be seeing it the early part of August. Yeah, Brian, as you'll notice, primarily I use the big guns, especially on the Union side where I can afford those. I really like having the big guns. Really wish I had my cavalry. They haven't shown up yet. Brian, it all just depends on your play style. I would never tell somebody that you should do one thing or another, because everybody plays differently. It really just depends on how you like to use your artillery. But for example, when you're Fredericksburg as the Confederates, it's great to have those those smooth bores at Marie's Heights, for example, where a lot of it's up close and personal. All right, I'm going to try to get out here on these guys' flanks now and try to get at these guns. I don't have my cavalry. Dang, okay. Let's slow it down just a little bit here. He's not even coming at my center. He got reinforcements, so did I. Let's see, he's lost 5,500 men. I've lost 3,000 so far. And remember, I'm going to be in a really strong defensive position later in this battle. So the more I weaken him now, the much better I'll be later on. Yeah, the 24-pounders have a very short range, so you kind of almost do have to use them up close. But most of the rifled guns, these 10-pounders and so on, yeah, you can see here, my 24-pounders actually haven't done that much damage because they're so far back. I want to get down here at these guns. I would have done this with my cavalry, but my cavalry hasn't shown up yet. Yeah, Frederickson's exactly right. If you know the enemy's going to have a lot of artillery and they're not well protected, not like in the woods or something, then it's great to have those rifled guns to be able to take them out. You take out his artillery early, and then you can turn your guns on his infantry after that. These guys are going to get lit up by Humphreys. But at least I can take out one of his batteries. All right, we're driving him back pretty well here. See, this is smart for him to have one battery right behind the other, because what happens is I start attacking the first one, and because there's no friendly fire, that happens. He just fires into them and just lights me up, and I'm about to lose those skirmishers. And they're going to fire again, and they're going to wipe out Scales. Yeah, there he goes. I got to shift over here before these guys get into my flank. Oh, he changed his mind when he saw me move. Come on, get a volley into him before he fires. Yeah, Brian, I actually right before I started this live stream tonight, I went in and sold most of my 6-pounder smoothbores. I'm just going to get these guys out of here now. Again, as far as how many you have per corps, I think it varies on your play style and it depends on the battle. Some battles, I don't take any artillery at all. For example, if it's a battle where I know I've got to move a lot and it's all in the woods and I have a small number of units that I can take, I don't typically take artillery just because, number one, if I'm moving a lot, they're going to slow my army down. And number two, they're not going to be real effective if I'm firing onto positions in the woods constantly. These guys are going to get wiped out if they take any fire from his cannon, but at least I can distract them. Because if he fires into Douglas, Douglas is going to get flanked here. So I want to try and get Humphreys to turn his guns this way, or at least be temporarily distracted. See, right there. That's what I was concerned about. Let's see what's going on up here. Oh, we got an ammo situation here with the guns. I got to come over here and get those Napoleons supplied. Okay, see, Humphreys turned, which means O'Hara's Ohio Outlaws skirmishers are about to cease to exist as a unit if he gets a shot into me, or these guys do. Yeah, the mounted infantry would work good. I was expecting to have my cavalry for this, and I would have wiped these guys out a while ago. But it didn't bring any of my cavalry into this. I thought when I got reinforcements it would have been my cavalry, but not to be because I had them in my 4th division. I probably should have put them in one of my other divisions. All right, so as the Union, just to kind of review here, to win, you got to hold Nashville Pike east and west, which aren't even on the battlefield yet, and then lose less than 50% of your army, which that won't be an issue. I'm actually going to pull these guys back now and let him come up into my killing zone rather than me continuing to come out at him. And I'll let these guys come back over here and then reattach them to their parent unit. Well, Brian, to a degree, you can. You can select your starting units. It gives you that option down here at the bottom. I still don't fully understand the rhyme or reason to the reinforcements when you do that, but all right, we'll let these guys get reattached now. Of course, everything that happens on the first day of this battle is meaningless when you get to the next day because it just kind of redoes your layout, your placement of your troops anyway. And the nice thing is all these units that are taking casualties right now, I've got 20,000 plus men that I can reinforce those units with for the next day of fighting. I got to drive off these skirmishers so they're not getting into Shermer's flank. An hour to go. I've lost almost 7,000 men. He's lost 14,000 already. So Confederates have already lost more men than the historical battle. But that's to be expected when you have twice as many men in your army. Cold Harbor. That's an interesting one. I got to visit that battlefield about a year and a half ago. It's also the Gaines Mill battlefield. Both were fought in the same spot. And I happened to be at the spot where the Confederate entrenchments were for the July 3rd assault early in the morning, the one that cost so many Union men. And I met some folks from, I think they were from the Netherlands, and visiting the battlefields, and had a great chat with them, talking about the Civil War a little bit, talking to them, because they didn't really know much about the battle. And so I explained some things that weren't necessarily on the cards there. But I would highly recommend, if you ever have a chance with any of the Civil War battlefields, to go. Because there are certain things, and I've said this before in my other videos, there are certain things you can't grasp until you see it. Perfect example of that would be at Gettysburg, standing on Little Round Top. You fully grasp the importance of that position when you stand there, and you see that you can basically see the entire Union position from the top of that mountain. That hill really is what it is. Going to Antietam and standing on the bluff that overlooks Burnside Bridge. You can see how so few men could defend that position against so many. And the terrain at Antietam is fascinating because it's not flat at all. It's just all very rolling hills. Very different than Gettysburg. Yeah, Dual Taylor, I hear you. Brian, where do you live an hour from Gettysburg? Hello again, Joker. All right, let's go ahead and advance back out. He's pretty well backed off at this point. All right, let's take out these guns. These guys are in pretty good condition, so I'm going to run them. Lewisburg. Oh, yeah, I know where that is. Not too far from there is where Lewistown is. I think that's in Mifflin County. My great-great-great-grandmother was born in Lewistown, Pennsylvania. A mixture of a kangaroo and a sheep. I do not know. A woolly jumper. Yeah, I'm with you, Dual Taylor, on I wish that more of the 1864 battles would have been fought. I think the Crater would have been awesome to do on here. Oh, lost a major general killed. Let's see if we can drive these guys off and then push into his flank a little more in these last 23 minutes. Cause some more casualties. An old Wehrmacht joke. I don't know if we would get it, since I don't think any of us were in the German army during World War II, but shoot. Alright, that battery's toast. Let's go ahead and take these guys out. Yeah, Brian, you talk about, we're only familiar with the big ones. A lot of my ancestors who were in Kentucky units, for example, for them, one of the big battles for them was the raid on Saltville, Virginia. There was a lot of Kentucky units that were a part of this raid into southwestern Virginia to hit Saltville, which is where they made saltpeter for the gunpowder for the Confederate Army. And my great-great-great-great-grandfather was about 45 years old. I actually had two ancestors, a third great-grandfather and a fourth great-grandfather, who were in the 40th Kentucky Mounted Infantry, and they both were in that raid on Saltville. And my fourth great-grandfather, John Bailey, lost his son during that raid. His son, Wiley Bailey, 17 years old, was killed in action at Clinch Mountain during that raid. And his father was in the same company, and so I'm guessing he probably was there when his son was killed. It even described his injury. He was shot through the neck, and it came out by his hip, which, as I listened to that description of that wound and thought about the fact they were fighting on a mountain, it just seemed to me like they were probably going uphill, and he was shot from up above. That's why it would have gone through the upper part of his body and came out down the lower part. The mounted infantry, most of the Kentucky infantry units on the Union side were mounted infantry rather than just straight infantry units. The only real difference between mounted infantry and cavalry is that the cavalry, for the most part, fought on horseback. Now, there were exceptions, obviously. Gettysburg is a prime example of cavalry fighting on foot. But the mounted infantry, they would travel by horseback but fight as infantry on foot for the most part. Okay, we're moving up to Nashville Pike now. So I'm going to take about a 2-minute break here real quick. Give everybody a chance to go to the bathroom, grab something to eat. I'm going to do that myself, and then we'll come right back here. So stick around, and we won't be very long here at all. Yeah, Brian, I agree with you. I'm back already, by the way. I agree with you on the cavalry. For the most part, I prefer to have at least a couple of units together. But, there are exceptions to that. There are times when if you're going after a battery, for example, as long as he doesn't have multiple batteries there, then maybe you're okay with just one. So I'm going to pause here for a second and kind of review the situation before I proceed. I'm not going to worry too much about covering this area up here. I'll pull back. There's my cavalry finally. I'm going to bring all of them together over here. For the most part, I probably don't even need to defend Nashville Pike, but at the same time, there's no reason not to, because those are the only objectives that matter. So we're going to start the process of pulling back as I'm able here. And that's going to start with the artillery, because those will take the longest to move. So I'll start getting all of them out of there and resupplied at the same time. I also got to get my infantry resupplied over here. Yeah, Brian, I'm with you. Yeah, it's tough to limit the casualties on cavalry. Honestly, the best thing you can do to do that is to know what you're getting into. The way that I end up typically losing cavalry is I send them into a situation where I'm kind of blind and I don't see what's happening. And I end up sending them into a situation where there's infantry that I didn't see, or something else that just ends up getting me because I didn't really pay attention to what I was getting into. So almost, it seems like it might make most sense with cavalry to... I should have backed them off instead of moving them like that. To send some skirmishers ahead of the cavalry so you can see what it is you're getting into before you send them into an attack. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build a ring all the way around right here. So I will definitely have, once I get everybody up here, I'm going to have more than enough to kind of cover all sides. So no matter where he attacks me from, I should be good. All right, what's happening here? Okay, interesting. Yeah, the river crossing is a choke point. And that's a great place to cause casualties, but I'm going to build such a strong... I want him to get across, and I want him to just hurl his men at me as much as possible. Eventually, I'll fill in all of this, and I'm just going to build a big ring right here. I'm going to destroy... Yep, I was just about to say I'm going to destroy these guys as a unit, and there they go. And remember, this is not the end of the battle. This is just still phase 1. And then I'm going to jack up all my numbers and have a huge advantage going into the next day. But I'm going to try to hold here a little bit longer. Obviously, ammunition's an issue. I got to get everybody supplied here. Let's hit these guys. Get down here and resupply. I'm just going to try to get people into position for now, and then eventually I'll strengthen these positions. As soon as I wipe out a few more of these units, I'll be able to pull the rest of these guys back. I'm going to try to send my cavalry down here to help with that. There's Leonidas Polk. Leonidas Polk was a bishop. I forget the denomination. Maybe it was Presbyterian. I don't entirely remember. But I think he was killed by a sniper later in the war. Or no, it was artillery, I think. It wasn't a sniper. I think he got hit by artillery. Alright, there's a unit that we can rout off the field. Man, all that artillery concentrated right there is going to be crazy. When he gets up and attacks me there. Yeah, so let's get this cavalry around here. I can go ahead and start pulling these guys back now. Paper collar can pull back a little bit. I want to get him out in the open, see if I can hit him with my cavalry. Well, considering how many men he brought into this battle, I feel like it's going pretty well. Because he had huge, one of the biggest armies I've ever seen for the Confederates. Up in the 80s like that. Alright, so here comes a unit over here. Yeah, you know, Brian, that's a great idea, capturing at least 1,000 men every time. I missed the days during the early release of the game where you could capture as many men as you wanted and they all went into your force pool and it wasn't limited to 1,000. That was a really great resource for gaining men to your army. But if you think about it, it didn't make sense because in theory the only way that capturing men would turn into men for you was if there were an equal number of men already captured on the other side that you could exchange them for. I was going to send my cavalry here, but he's got a unit behind him, so I got to be careful. Alright, so he's hit my weak spot right here. He realized that I don't have a lot going over here. All I got to do really is kind of hang on for an hour and a half down here because then all these guys are going to get they're going to get moved up to the Nashville Pike position for the next part of the battle anyway. Alright, those fortifications didn't work out so well for me, so. And of course, everything I did up there at Nashville Pike is meaningless once we get to the next phase because it's just going to reset all that anyway. We're going to go ahead and pull these guys out. This is what I wanted to do a long time ago in this battle, was ride my cavalry around and try to hit people in the rear, because there's this big open area where he often moves units or parks his artillery. Evening! How's it going? The horseback tour of Gettysburg, I have not, but I've seen people doing it when I've been there. Or afternoon, where are you? Where are you greeting us from? That boy Alex, I guess is your name, huh? Yeah, the units all get changed around for the next phase, so it's not something I need to worry too much about for this last hour. I got to get these guys out of these woods. Once they're out of the woods, you'll see his numbers will start dropping a lot faster. Turn that way, Loomis. There you go. Just call you Alex. Got it. Alright, we're not going to worry about those guys right now. Let them run away. So where are you watching from tonight, Alex? 111 in Denmark. I love your commitment, sir. And my apologies for defeating Denmark in my most recent episode of Hearts of Iron. This is what it's nice to have this cavalry for. And see there, no matter what you do, you run into some unit of infantry that just messes you up. But in the meantime, I'm finishing off this battery for the most part. He's going to get at least one more volley into me, though. And I didn't quite destroy that battery, but almost did. Another 5 seconds would have done the trick. All right, nothing happened up at Nashville Pike. So I've got this small force that's just going to hang on. Because if I try to pull these guys out, I'm just going to take a lot of unnecessary casualties. So I'll just hang on for this next few minutes. South Carolina, very cool. What part of South Carolina are you in? Last time I was there, I was in, I think, Union County, just south of Charlotte. I think Clover was the name of the town I was in. I spoke at the school there. Cape Cod, very cool. Hey, yeah, you know, it'd be kind of cool. I know there are a lot of you out there that don't talk a lot. Cavalry are like women, constantly needing attention. It's not necessarily a bad thing. to have a woman who needs your attention certainly beats not having a woman around. At least in my book. Of course, I've been married for 16 years, so maybe I don't have the best opinion on that. But it'd be kind of cool. Everybody who's in the room, why don't you all just shout out the name of the city or town and country that you're in. Or if you're in the U.S., what state you're in. Might be kind of cool to do that and just kind of see everybody all at once where they're coming from, where they're watching from. I'm here in Northeast Ohio in the U.S. Where it is, I guess, 7:15 p.m. now. Dual Taylor, I know I've probably asked you this before. What part of Wales is that? Like what county is that in Wales? Because I know Wales a lot better based on where the counties are. I really want to visit Wales sometime. Jutland. Have you been to where the battle? I assume you're nearby where the naval battle of Jutland took place. Really, kind of the only major naval battle of World War One. Do they have anything dedicated to that battle there in Jutland? South Wales, okay. My wife, her maiden name is Watkins, which is Welsh. And her Watkins family was from, I think, near Cardiff. Or no, Caerphilly was the name of the town that they were from nearby. It was Abbeville. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Ebbwvale is the name of the town that her family came from. And also my family came from. My family was Croft, my great-grandmother's family. And I think my wife's Watkins originally came from Blaina, I think. Texas is better than California. Oh, boy. Alex, this particular series that I'm doing right now, which is a Union campaign on Ultimate General Civil War, I do every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I've been doing that for the last couple of months. And so unless I kind of do a channel update otherwise, you can always find me here, usually between 6 and 8 p.m. on Saturday evenings doing this series. I don't have a lot of experience with California. I was in California twice last fall. First time I flew into Reno, Nevada, and I kind of took a little day trip over into California, over to where the Donner Party was, and that was gorgeous, right near Lake Tahoe, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. But then I was also in Los Angeles for a week. I was in Pomona, and I hated it. Not necessarily because of the people or anything, but because of the traffic. It's everything that people say it is, and I absolutely hated it. It took me 2.5 hours to go 30 miles. But boy, I do miss In-N-Out Burger. I desperately wish we had one of those in Ohio. Cancerous Meme 558. I would love to take back Prussia and Hearts of Iron 4. The main issue with that is that Poland is one of my allies. And so until I turn on Poland, I won't be able to take all of the Prussian territory back. All right, so we're on to the next day now. This will be the last part of the battle, and I've got a chance to reinforce my forces before I do that. You can see I've got them outnumbered right now, 80,000 to only 40,000. And that's about to go up. So this last part's going to actually go pretty well for me. So I did lose some division commanders, and those are not going to be easy to replace. Unfortunately, what I'm going to have to do is this. I'm going to have to do some swapping around here with some things. So what I'll do is put a colonel there. I can drop a brigadier general here. I may have some brigadiers that have hit major general. It appears not. Maybe that won't happen till the end of the battle. Backstab Poland then. There you go. get Russia crashing into Poland from the west. All right, let's do this. Let's get these. So I'm going to get some of these smaller units to take the lower ranked men so I can get the bigger ones to have at least colonels. And then I'm mainly going to look for the smallest units and try to get them reinforced a little bit. At least back up to 1,500 or so till the end of this battle. And then I can kind of go from there. Yeah, see, it never even brought in my 4th Division here on that unit. So that was kind of a waste to even have them there. I was born in August, so I can't say me for born in June. Caerphilly, yes. Very nice cheese. Awesome. So Dipstick Slap, are you in Caerphilly? Is that what you're saying? Or are you from there? That's very cool if so. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, just enough to kind of get me going. Did somebody say I have a 3-star unit now? It doesn't surprise me because I know O'Hare's Ohio Outlaws were on the verge of that. I don't see it yet. Born and raised. Very cool. That's awesome. I don't know if you were here a couple minutes ago when I was talking about it, but my wife and I both have family from that part of Wales. I'm very much looking forward to an opportunity to visit there someday. Oh, yeah, right there. There's my 3-star paper collar. Awesome. These guys are going to be maxed out. I love it. Going to be out of money to improve them, though, so I'm mostly just going to have to reinforce units that have guns that I already have in stock, which there aren't a lot of them right now. There we go. We got Springfield 1842s galore. Oh, we got to go rookie. That's why. There we go. Palmettos we can reinforce. Yep. So the only ones I can reinforce right now, just because of my money situation, are ones that I already have those weapons in stock, which is mostly the Springfield 1842s. And I can't sell anything in between phases during a battle like this to make more money. All right, I think we're in good shape. Just like America in the Great Depression. Yes, out of money. Visit in the summer during the Big Cheese Fun Fair, showing off trebuchets and catapults. Very cool. I saw a video, and I don't remember what castle it was. I don't think it was in Wales. I think it may have been near Windsor Castle in England. And they were firing off trebuchets. It was pretty cool. And one of them accidentally caught their shed on fire or something. I have 5 watching on Twitch at the moment. Yeah, I think that's actually the most I've ever had watching on Twitch at one time. But I guarantee I have more than that watching on YouTube. Usually have 20 or 30 watching on YouTube. But all right, let's do this. All right, we'll go ahead and keep these guys up here, and we'll hit those choke points. But let's go ahead and pull everybody back here. That way I don't have to worry about guarding this side. This will be interesting because I've got so many lined up here. I'm going to pull, like Maher, I'm going to pull him out of there and put a 2,500-man brigade on that area. Let's get my cavalry all pulled back. We just got to hold off for 3 hours here. I got to be careful with what guns I have up close. Like the Napoleons, I want them up close. The 24-pounders, yes. The 20-pounders, I want to pull back a little bit. Alex, yes, I absolutely love to learn about history. I was a history major in college. So you're in high school. That's really cool. I'm glad that you love social studies. I know most high school students do not. My daughter didn't used to, but she's actually come around to it and really finds it interesting now, especially things like Revolutionary War history now that she's really into Hamilton. I know the name of the town that my wife's family's from. I won't dare try to pronounce it. It's got a bunch of consonants in it, but it has mostly M's and Y's. And I know it's in that area around Cairo, somewhere. I'll look it up and type it for you. Give me 1 second. All right, he's going to try to get around me on this side. That's fine. Let's pull these 20-pounders back. I should have done that to begin with. No, that's not it. Merthyr Tydfil, I think, is the one town where they were from, but no, that's not the one. It's a really long name, and I'm going to tell you what, right here in a second. I'm going to the family tree. Here it is. Meanwhile, I got to go back and look at this just for a second. There we go. All right, here is the name of the town my wife's great-great-grandfather was born in. I'm going to type it in on Twitch just because it's the easiest way for me to do it. I've actually heard it pronounced, like I think I entered it in on Google Translate just to get it pronounced. It was something like Mina Daislewin or something like that. I know Welsh has some really interesting pronunciations compared to English. But it's MYNYDDYSLWYN. Oh man, look at this. I gotta get up here and protect these guns. Hey, Joker again. Yes, we did read your jokes earlier. He may not even try to assault me here. In the meantime, I now have 5 units of cavalry. Let's go have some fun with them if we can. Yes, that is it. Mina Daislewin, yes. Or at least that's how I was told it was pronounced by the internet. Which is never wrong, right? Alex, that sounds like my kids when they plug their tablets in and then they complain about how slowly they recharge. Of course, I have an old iPad that my 5-year-old uses a lot, and half the time it won't charge at all, so he gets really upset about that. He's going to try to come over at me on this side, so I'm going to send some units to help with that. I'm going to let him throw himself at me as much as possible and inflict casualties on him that way. Oh, look, we're running into some things here. There's that battery that I almost destroyed before. It's not going to go real quick hitting him in the woods. Yeah, I can't roll my R's. We were actually talking about that earlier tonight with my family. There was something on one of the songs on the Hamilton soundtrack we were listening to, and I can't roll my R's at all. Never have been able to do that. Probably why I took French in high school instead of Spanish. I had to be careful here, because if there's more than one infantry brigade right here, I'm going to be in trouble. The H word. Alright, he's finally starting to come at me now. I couldn't, I would have taken German in high school, but I went to a really small high school, and our choices were French and Spanish, and that was it. My daughter's, my kids' school, German is an option for them. I think German, Latin, French, Spanish, and I think there's one more. Heroin? What? No. So I'm actually, when my daughter gets in high school here in 2 years, I'll probably encourage her to take German. Plus, it's probably the easiest language for an English speaker to take out of those options, just because there's so many similarities between German and English, more so than other languages. You reckon you could teach me some Welsh? Woo, that would be rough. I'd love to learn Welsh. I actually have a cousin who speaks some Welsh. And since I've got so much heritage from there, the languages I like to learn, the reason I'm wanting to learn German so much is because of my heritage there. So much of my heritage comes from Germany. And actually a lot of the research I do here in the U.S. is in German-speaking parts of Pennsylvania, where a lot of the tombstones are in German, from German settlers. Alex, I will try, but I may not have time to do that. There's only an hour and a half left, and right now I'm just trying to inflict as many casualties on them as I can, but I'm going to try to use this massive amount of cavalry that I've got to slowly cannibalize, just kind of eat up all his units here. But I got to be careful, because I don't want to hit units that have infantry support, because they can get some volleys into me. Oh, look at this. He's sneaking up on me from this side now. Alright, we got to get supplies down here. Oh, that's the reason why my money ran out, is because all my supplies had to refill. Where are my supplies? I may not have had enough money to do that. That's my general. Okay. Show hell to them, sir. I will do my best. Alright, I'm going to try and get back here at this artillery. Depends on what infantry he's got back here. Do I teach history, Jeff? No, I do not. Other than on this channel, to a degree, I guess. I've subbed a few times, but that was many years ago. This could get ugly here, because he's got 4 batteries. And if they fire on me, I'm going to have some problems. Yeah, there's very few Confederates left at this point. There we go. Now I can get into the second line. I just basically am in the process of taking out 5 Confederate batteries. This is awesome. And there's not a thing he can do about it. That's a problem, to a degree. Shumai VNOE Udi history guy. Awesome. Alright, he's shifting everybody up here to. He figures he can't beat me. So the next best thing he can do is to go after my units that are up there by themselves. So we're going to have to come over there and help them out. I should have probably pulled them back. Wow, this is crazy. I've never really done this well on this battle. But I've got to hurry up and get up here to support these guys before we have a Custer's last stand situation up on the hill. All right, I think we're at a place now where I can stabilize this situation a little bit. Let me pause for a second here. What's he got left? I may be able to destroy this whole army if it gives me enough time. That would actually be really helpful moving forward. Yeah, Wales seems like a really cool place. Yeah, Brian, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm going to see if it gives me the time to corner and destroy this whole army. I got to be careful here that the cavalry doesn't get sucked into his lines. I'm going to have to pull them off. Where can I cross over? I'm going to have to go all the way down, I think, to cross and come up this way. Wiener Schnitzel? Yeah. I thought that, because in fact, we have a thing called Vienna sausages that my grandpa used to really love eating when I was a kid. Yeah, supply and artillery probably back here, you're right. I wonder if, I think the next best thing here to do would be to cross down here. There we go. We'll cross down there. I don't know how long that'll take, but maybe I can get them up and around that way. Taking a lot of casualties doing this, but hey, I can afford them. I'm the Union. Brian, you sound like John Bell Hood at Gettysburg. Let's move around to the right. All right, I'm a little concerned about my guns. It's amazing that in a battle where I've done so well that I could actually have to concern myself with that, but that's kind of where I am at the moment. I'm going to slow things down a little bit just till I get this situation under control. It's an interesting strategy for him. He can't win, but he knows he can still hurt me. Yeah, the only two places I can cross are up here, or I can cross over here too, and then down here, and that's what I'm in the process of doing. I can take the deaths. I know I can afford the casualties. I don't want to lose the guns. All right. And most of these are newer infantry units that don't have a lot of experience, so I'm not too worried about that. Good night, Dual Taylor. Good night, sir. We need all the weapons. Does it motivate me if you told me that they have oil? No, I don't care about such things. I know that's kind of the common thing about America, is that we only go to war if there's oil involved, but no, that does not motivate me. All right, here comes the cavalry, so to speak. Got 15 minutes left. I don't know if it's going to let this battle continue or not. Hey, HOI4, nice to see you. Yeah, a little late, but that's okay. The nice thing is, in just a little while, all of it goes up on YouTube, so you can always watch it later from start to finish. Obviously, you just can't interact, but oh boy, hey, look at that. He's got a huge brigade sitting in the woods, and I'm not going to hit it. All right, hold on. I should have known he would do that. Let's actually just bypass him altogether. There's only 7 minutes left. Yeah, I know they need ammo, but I have no ammo to give them, unfortunately. Always late to the party. Yeah, that's right. See, this is what I was looking for. I don't know if it's going to stop here in 2 minutes or not. We'll see here in just a second. Yep, it stopped it right away. All right, so there we go. Pretty even numbers as far as the strength in the battle. But 18,000 casualties for me, 48,000 for him, over 50,000 when you count the artillery. Took out 76 guns. I lost one. Let's take a look here. Wow, look at that paper collar brigade. Now that's a little misleading, and I'll tell you why. Because the one loss, it's funny how it does this. When you reinforce units, it takes those off of your losses, so it only counts the losses against your starting numbers at the beginning of the battle. So paper collar brigade did lose more than one man in this one, but still a very good day for me. Those were obviously the biggest numbers as far as kills go. 5 separate brigades who caused 2,000 or more casualties. Wow, we grabbed over 3,000 when you count the ones that I get back. Harper's Ferry 1855s. All right, let's take a look and see where things stand. Yes, Manifest Destiny continues. You have a pet chihuahua? That's awesome. Okay, so here's the situation. I believe Chancellorsville is next. Yeah, and so next week we're going to have actually 3 battles going into Chancellorsville. Those will all be pretty short, though. And he's still sitting at 94 to 99,000, so it'll be interesting to see how many he has. I've got 30,000 sitting there. In addition to that, I've got 51. Oh, I got a Lieutenant General, George McClellan. So I've got about 70,000. I've got over 100,000 men available to me right now. I've got 2 career points to spend. I'm gonna go 1 in logistics and 1 more in medicine. And I'm gonna have to spend some of these reputation points too, because otherwise I'm gonna max out at 100. I've got a lot of 20-pounder parrots already, so I'm not entirely sure I'll spend it on that. But I think I'll wait until I see where my army is. But next week, when we start this, we will go with, let's see, Nansemond River will be first. I just want to look and see what... Yeah, Joking Joker, Manifest Destiny goes back to the early 1800s when... the U.S. acquired the Louisiana Purchase. They bought that from Napoleon. It basically doubled the size of the U.S. Obviously, in our eyes anyway, the European governments claimed ownership of the land, but there were also millions of Native Americans living on it who disagreed with that. But that said, the idea was that now that we believed we owned the eastern half and most of the central of what became the United States, Manifest Destiny said, why not push all the way to the Pacific Ocean and own everything in between? And so almost everything that happened in the United States during the 1800s was centered around that idea of westward expansion and endless territory to be had. So... we're going to have 14 brigades going into this one, but that is all for today. It's time to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, I'm grateful for all of you showing up. I always have a lot of fun with this. So please keep your eyes open for other live streams I may do. But it's always a great pleasure to talk with you guys, to laugh with you guys, to have some fun while we play some games and talk about history. I hope you have a great night, and God bless, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.